I want to do some quick introductions. My name is Brian Butler. I am the Director of Sales and Marketing for SearchLogic. We are going to be doing a digital marketing series here called Establishing Your Digital Marketing Foundation. This will be more intermediate level topic. It's not going to be glossary level. It's not going to be introductory. So hopefully there's some good points that you're able to gain from this. Billy is our CEO of SearchLogic. And he will be here to assist with questions, and he has some talking points on here as well. So we're excited to be able to go through this with y'all. Hopefully this is beneficial. Hope you learned something, and we're excited to work with you on this. All right, let me go into my next slide here. So SearchLogic, just to be kind of who we are, what we're doing, and why you should care about what we're talking about today. We've been involved since 2012 in digital marketing. Billy started the company back in 2012, and we have been growing ever since. We're really excited for that. $25 million plus in annual ad spend managed, along with indirect path to purchase as being our primary target. So what does indirect path to purchase mean? Essentially, what that means is people who are not coming in and just making a sale directly, right? It's people who maybe have, like a B2B company is going to have a longer sales cycle. You may have 6 months before you're actually going to purchase because it's a contract and you have a previous contract that's expiring. So indirect path to purchase allows us to market to people throughout a very long sales cycle and a long negotiation cycle, which is really exciting. We are predominantly revenue focused, with revenue attribution being our primary target, with very, very strong client retention since 2012, with over 95% year-over-year client retention, which we are very proud of. As well as being a boutique agency, we specialize in really working hands-on with niche organizations, almost in a fractional level, where we kind of work as a partner that is brought in as a partner and part of your team, which we're really excited about. Bill, you want to talk about some of the advertisers we've worked with in the past?
Yeah. So this screen here is broken down on a per level basis here. So the top line is all of our SaaS, B2B SaaS experience. Most of this is enterprise level brands serving enterprise level organizations. A couple of them have business to government as well as B2B. On that middle line there are schools and universities, attorneys, law firms. Specifically, Pond Lehocky is one of the largest law firms in Philadelphia. The next line down there are our e-commerce experience, so direct to consumer. And then the bottom line is services based. So think roofing and obviously urgent care centers. One of the things that we like to talk about within this slide specifically, line of industries, we have noticed that there's a lot of similarities across each of these industries. So what we learn in the SaaS B2B space, we can actually apply in the e-commerce space. And what we learn in the e-commerce, we can apply into the service space. So we are agnostic to our industries and take our learnings from specific customers into other industries.
Some of the work that we've done, as you can see here, just an example of some of the work at least, is Vibe Urgent Care, multi-location urgent care unit that we helped to scale and grow out of Philadelphia. KPA is a strong compliance company for EHS compliance. They specialize with manufacturers and other niche markets, making sure that they're staying compliant. And it's a software to help them do that. Both these companies are very much large enterprise clients who are trying to get in front of a pretty niche audience. And that's one of the main areas where, we kind of come in and play well. Also, Salt and Straw is a great example of a e-commerce brand that we worked with that we really helped to scale almost 100% on their pint subscriptions that they were sending out to different clients. You actually can buy from them, order online. Very, very cool model. And the 98.6 is another example, text-based healthcare market. Very, very neat as far as what they do, because you can literally get help from a doctor on it on your mobile phone. Just some examples. These all play into different realms as far as what it is that we do. Profitability, market share gaining, promotional objectives, or overall growth objectives. We can really come in and assist with most of those. One of the last, examples, just to kind of get, who is SearchLogic out of the way, is one of the clients we already talked about, Vibergent Care. We helped to scale their locations by over 250% while we were helping them grow their business. And by doing that, we helped to uncover some pretty severe challenges that were happening as far as client services. And throughout some consulting and management, we were able to help them scale to 14 locations, remote on-demand services, as well as setting up a call center, because they realized that that was needed to fully and beneficially support their client needs, which was really exciting. Let's see here. So let's talk about the overall plan to double your leads in the next 12 months. How does SearchLogic go about doing that, and what it is that you need to know to be able to double your leads in the next 12 months? So I think out of anything that you're here for, this is probably one of the most important slides. So what we're looking at here is 3 stages of priorities that we work on. Inbound strategy, we recommend, go-to-market strategy, and then once you get those clients, making sure you're able to close, retain, and expand those clients. So the first thing is really making sure you're building a strong sales engine. Build a strong sales inbound lead strategy where you're getting those leads coming in. You're out, going in and you're optimizing your marketing automation. You're making sure that you have a good cadence for follow up. Your drip feeds are set up so that your clients who do come in to your drip, your email capture field are actually getting serviced and are seeing your content consistently. Making sure you're building your sales sequences and sales playbooks, having a plan for growth, making sure it's consistent and duplicatable is going to be super valuable for you to make sure that you can scale your brand. Also, establishing conversion events, tracking, phone call tracking. What we see a lot of times is clients come to us and have no conversion tracking set up. They don't have lead capture set up. They don't have call tracking set up. And those are things that if you're going to really kind of expand your marketing, those are things that are going to be a requirement. You just have to have good conversion tracking, because if you don't track it, you're not going to understand how to grow it. And if you didn't track it, it didn't happen. Understanding your go-to-market. We recommend that most brands are going to be doing realistically a marketing budget that is going to help them scale and help them grow. What we have seen work typically is going to be a 15% of revenue going back into marketing if you're looking for stability, whereas 20% to 25% even for some brands who are looking for scale and growth. What you're essentially saying is, I'm getting that $100 in revenue, and I'm willing to put $15 of that $100 back into my advertising to make sure that I'm continuing the process. Making sure you're getting really good brand assets. I cannot tell you this enough. We get a lot of clients who come in and their ads have not been established. They don't really understand what messaging they're looking to bring to the market, and they don't really understand what it is that they do in a way where the clients are seeing that and they go, "Oh, I need that." Oftentimes, clients or our clients have kind of assumed that their customers know what they are. But oftentimes, your customer has no idea what you are. They have no idea why you're valuable. So brand assets, introductory videos are really helpful to make sure that you are able to get in front of the right client at the right time, and they understand why it is that you're there to help them. Also, building your overall digital foundation, making sure your paid search campaigns are running, your social campaigns are running, your organic campaigns are running, and then making sure you have really good content channels so that you're popping out good content that matters so you can have a chance at ranking organically. It's going to make a big deal. And then collect those leads into a sales pipeline that you can make sure to continue to optimize and nurture. Once you start getting those people into a sales pipeline, really making sure those leads are getting contacted very, very quickly. We talk about speed here, because if you don't get in front of that customer in a very short period of time, that customer is going to forget about you and you're not going to have a chance of getting a hold of them. Setting up good sales sequences and post and pre-post demos appointments. What's your content strategy? HubSpot recommends like a 4 contact, or sorry, I think it's a 4 contacts in 14 days, making sure that you are making that phone call outside of just emails to really get in front of those people and maximizing your ability. We have had customers that we have brought $100,000 in leads to that didn't even follow up with the leads. They just kind of left them on the table and never even tried, because they didn't have someone on staff that was competent to really go out and take that on to the next step. And they thought they were being handled, but the person was just ignoring them. We've actually seen, $100,000 in leads just come into the table and go poof. So really kind of understanding how you are going to be going about your sales process is going to be so important with this. Passing those sales statuses back to your marketing platform, also really important. One of the things we work on is offline conversions, where you bring someone in to your sales funnel, they get into HubSpot. HubSpot then processes the data. It goes into a closed won cycle. Passing that data back into Google as an offline conversion can be one of the best things you can do to really optimize for overall performance, which is really, really important. One of the last things you can look at is making sure that you're setting up your automation to keep those relationships fresh. Especially if you're doing corporate nurturing or whether you're doing just overall lead nurturing, making sure you have a good drip feed, a news feed or a newsletter, really maximizing what that looks like to go to market and keep those people with your brand as top of mind. Bill, any thoughts on this? Anything I missed?
No, I think you've got the base covered, but I would reiterate the importance of having the nurture process with strong brand assets, and just I would say that's one of the biggest things that we've noticed with our customers that don't do well within the paid advertising space is when they don't have those things covered. So
Yeah,
you nailed it.
very cool. All right, I'm going to take a second to let some questions come in. I don't think we have too many coming in. I don't see any. Let's see here. All right, everyone looks to be good, so I'll move on. All right, so as we mentioned, digital demand generation is like a race car. Drive sales by building a strong sales engine, and drive growth by fueling that engine with qualified traffic. A lot of times we have situations where we have clients who come to us who want to spend money on paid media, but they haven't spent any time developing their sales strategy. And it's one of those things where you really kind of have to have the two working together to see maximum results. And getting in front of that client as fast as possible, this is a good example of that. Leads contact within an hour, we're 7 times more likely to have a meaningful conversation with a decision maker than those who responded after an hour. So that 60-minute mark is a big deal. So let's introduce you guys to inbound marketing. So one of the companies that we work with and we represent is HubSpot. They offer an all-in-one tool for inbound marketing, SEO optimization, so social media management, email marketing, Google Analytics integration, and really it helps to optimize your overall ROI with Google ads, Facebook ads, LinkedIn ads, and it is a very, very strong tool for that. We also have some really cool tools that we work with for reporting. If you wanted to get past the big three, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Google, if you want to go programmatic or Hulu, we have a tool we use called TapClicks that is an amazing tool for more sophisticated reporting needs that are outside the HubSpot ecosystem. So HubSpot essentially is a system, you can actually get it for free. It allow you to really set up some basic tools for marketing, attracting, engaging, and delighting your customers, making sure they can actually see your campaigns, consistently get in front of your clients. It is a CRM, which allows you to have all your customer integrations. It is a marketing hub, which allows you to make sure that you're getting marketing campaigns, SEO optimizations going. It's also a sales hub. So if you have any issues where you have, automation needs to happen, workflows that need to happen, it is a very, very strong tool for making sure that your time is being spent effectively and efficiently. So what we're looking at here with HubSpot is kind of a multi-stage process. One, streamline and automate your processes with workflows and sequences. Workflows are a way, I was a salesperson for a long time. I've been in sales for 25 years. And I can tell you from experience, salespeople are lazy. It's just a matter of fact. It's human nature. Salespeople are going to go the path of least resistance. And following up for 6 months with an email that has never responded is not the path of least resistance. But I can tell you that a lot of times those customers who come into a lead funnel, they might need a couple of months to make a decision, and maybe it may not be the right time. So sales automation and workflows, what it does, it allows you to set up rules and accountability with the system so that your salespeople don't have to be held accountable for certain things. Things like, making sure that emails are going out that are making the introduction, follow-up emails, doing automation runs where you have a 6-month nurture process that continually sends those emails out. It is a very nice system to streamline those processes versus having to wait on salespeople to do it themselves. The next stage is really improving your lead generation by creating increasing your conversion rates with landing pages that have A/B testing. Landing pages are super valuable for marketing because you can really maximize what it is that people are seeing on the page, test it, try it again, and see if it makes an improvement. And the A/B testing functionality that HubSpot has is actually pretty impressive, especially when you consider there's other companies out there that charge almost as much as a HubSpot subscription just for A/B testing. The next stage is going to be gain insights in your marketing with their reporting and their details, automation flags, and then deal management is really great because you can actually look at forecasting what deals are going to close, and then probability modeling and metrics there. Billy, can you take a quick second and talk about, as a CEO, the benefit to you and the power of profitability modeling and revenue forecasting with this deals management? Because I think that's one of the most underlooked functions that HubSpot has.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty simple summary is being able to forecast what your revenue appropriately is helps you to plan and strategize human capital, technology capital, cash outlay. So a lot of the critical functions of running and operating the organization profitably, it's current and forecasted revenue. So anytime that you can apply simple things as forecast weighting, so understanding that at each stage the revenue is worth something different, and as it progresses down the line, that weight becomes heavier. Really helps you to align your accounting and finance department with your HR department in hiring and recruiting new employees. Also,
Perfect.
I
Yeah,
should
thank you for
say
that.
another thing
Yeah.
too is being able to apply that to your growth strategy, right? So being able to say, okay, we are bringing leads in and deals in at this rate, and it's costing us this much, and it's producing a stage value of X. That becomes more of a math problem, right? So the predictability
Yep.
of that scale, you know that if I apply maybe another 10,000, 20,000 into this bucket, it's going to produce XYZ results.
Exactly. And that's one of the things we do work with clients a lot on, is trying to understand what that number is, right? Like, a lot of times people don't realize that if you're selling a product and you're going to make 100 grand, like we work with a lot of B2B clients where they're SaaS subscriptions and they're, year-long contracts. That contract could be $1 million contract. And one contract at $1 million is a pretty reasonable return for your advertising. But what people don't realize is you need to understand, like, of that $1 million, how much of that are you willing to reinvest back into your marketing? And if you know that you have leads that are coming in that have a very high probability to close, and you can go back to the market and say, hey, we're getting really good deals in. We were spending 10,000 a month. Now we should be spending, 50,000 a month because the deals we're getting in, we're projecting $30 million in pipeline. And we're only spending $30,000 in advertising. Like, my marketing budget to pipeline is nowhere near equivalent to what it should be. Like, we should be investing a lot more because right now our pipeline is looking really, really strong. Our revenue for this quarter is going to be 3 times what we expect it to be, right? But you don't have that ability if you're not looking at your numbers correctly and you're not managing your pipeline correctly. Pricing plans, HubSpot actually has some free options. I can tell you their free plan is pretty great, but it is basic tools. If you're looking at the pro plan, you can typically get started for around $800 for a more advanced level plan. Because we are a HubSpot partner and reseller, we do actually get better rates than going directly to market. So let us know if you're interested. We might be able to get you a better rate on an overall combined plan. And they also have more advanced tools for bigger companies who are looking at really big excessive needs for multiple contacts, hundreds of thousands of contacts that you're contacting out there, very sophisticated pipeline management, all that kind of stuff. So now getting into phase 2, right? You've built a sales model, you have your marketing automation in play, you've built some really good deal formats, and you're forecasting your revenue correctly. When a client comes in, they're going to be reached out to. Your salespeople are on point. Now it's time to say, all right, we have this in play. Let's put some money into marketing. So we're going to go to the table and we're going to start advertising our brand to get people in, right? So one of the best starting points for your brand, depending on your overall product, is paid media. So what is paid media as a baseline? Paid media is essentially the ability to buy traffic on multiple different platforms that either is interested in your product, should be interested in your product, or has never even known of your product, but you're trying to get them to understand your product. And we're going to cover those phases here in a little bit. But as a baseline, it's either a pay-per-click, or it is a pay per conversion, or is a CPM, which is a pay per impression model. CPM is typically understood at the level where you are talking through, a TV spend, for example, or a Hulu buy is going to be a CPM, whereas a pay per click is going to be like a Facebook, Google ad, Facebook ad, TikTok ad, and so on. And making sure you're tracking your success on those is going to help to feed an AI algorithm that provides more insight, which provides more details for success. So it's one of those situations where paid media allows you to get on the first page of Google without having to spend 9 months doing SEO. It allows you to rank organically, or rank in front of an audience on TikTok that you wouldn't have been able to reach organically. So it's just a way of really getting a step into the next level. Billy, do you want to talk a little bit about why companies might hire a demand gen agency and kind of what it is that we as a demand gen agency kind of bring to the table?
Yeah, for sure. So, obviously, as you can see here with the primary bullet points, I'll go relatively quickly through each one. Um, as an agency, we're hyper focused on making sure that we're ahead of the market in what's new, best practices, and how to successfully manage accounts. So, with that, the other thing too is you get multiple people, right? So, our agency, as a byproduct, every customer gets an account manager and a paid media analyst. But that's just the forward facing. Behind the scenes, there's managers and team leaders that are working on the accounts as well. So in reality, there could be upwards of 4 people, sometimes 5, all having a decent knowledge of the account, all providing the newest, best expertise to ensure that best practices and success is happening. Next thing is obviously time saving. So being able to scale appropriately within an organization by hiring an agency saves you time. It's less risk. There's obviously a lot of internal benefits for your organization by hiring an agency in that sense. I think one of the biggest ones is the reporting cost here. So we know
Oh
this
yeah.
actually because of how we structured our reporting for a long time. As an agency, it was expensive. And then we did some work to revamp that, and it saved our agency a ton of money. And by doing so, we're actually able to roll that out to our customers. So by going directly to certain platforms, customers are going to pay a premium, but by going through an agency, we get special discounts, incentives that help our customers save money as a whole. In addition to that, as I mentioned with the expertise, the strategy development, we're all hyper focused on specific areas of expertise. So when I come to the table, I'm thinking high level, I'm thinking growth marketing, I'm thinking sales and marketing, I'm thinking team structure, I'm thinking revenue, organizational structure, I'm thinking messaging. Brian comes to the table and he thinks, how do I connect all these dots, right? How do I make sure that every single thing is communicating with each other? Then you have your account manager that comes to the table, and now you're thinking about, okay, how are we making sure that the analyst and the customer are speaking the same language and that we're getting the work taken care of? And obviously the analyst is in there pushing buttons, pulling levers, analyzing the data. So having that complete strategy, focus, and development is an incredible benefit to customers. The next three, I think, the next two, I think, are relatively similar: performance tracking and budget optimization. Having a solid handle on what we're doing, why we're doing, and how we're doing it, in conjunction with, are we managing the budget appropriately, but then also effectively, right? So throughout the month, if your budget's $100,000 and we're 15 days into the month and you spent 75,000, something's wrong, right? Or if we spend 30,000, something's wrong. So we want to make sure that we are monitoring that budget appropriately across the board. That's a benefit that we are able to bring to the table with organizations because we do it for dozens of other organizations on an ongoing basis. And then again, a bit back to that number one, but for bullet point number 7, the reality is you're getting 4 employees for sometimes less than the price of one. And as a whole, it's just a lot more knowledge base coming to the table.
Absolutely. Yeah. And the thing is, like, most of the people on our staff, at least, are averaging between 10 to 15 years of experience in digital marketing. We're not looking at, interns who are just fresh out of college. We have senior tenured people who are in here who know what they're doing. They've worked with clients spending millions of dollars in advertising. They're here to support you, right? And you get that for the cost of less than one employee typically. So let's talk about how to create a good strategy for demand gen. Realistically, you need to start with defining who your audience is. Who's going to buy this product? Next step is what kind of budget do you have and what kind of platform is right to spend that money? Because if you only have $10,000 to advertise and you have a $30 cost per click because you're in a very competitive industry, you're going to have to be very careful with how many places you put your ads because you're going to spread your budget too thin. And per day, you're going to have almost nothing to spend. So you have to be mindful of how much is my budget? How much do I have on a daily basis if I take my basic budget divided by 30? And if I divide that budget by one platform, two platforms, or three platforms, so TikTok, Google Ads, and Facebook, what kind of daily budget am I going to get on each platform? If it is, less than the cost of one cost per click, you're in trouble. You're not going to make any money. So you really want to be mindful of what you're spending, how much you're actually investing in your product, and what your overall, budget is going to get you, so you have better expectations. The next thing is really creating compelling ad content. We are working with some really great people in the UGC space, user-generated content, that are creating some fantastic social media ads that really kind of help clients understand what your product is, what it does, and why people are buying it, making them understand, that people in the market are enjoying the product. And it's one of those things where it's like a testimonial being built in. We're seeing some really great content coming out of these companies, and really just making sure that your clients have a very clear understanding of what it is you want them to do. Buy it now, sign up for a demo, buy one, get one free, save 15% for the holidays. What is your call to action? What are you trying to get people to do? Because people are very susceptible to the power of suggestion. Do you want them to click through? Do you want them to download? Do you want them to buy the product? Do you want them to save now, subscribe? What is it you want them to do? Be very, very clear with your messaging. The last thing is monitor and adjust your campaigns, because you do not want to set up a campaign where you just kind of set it and forget it. And the last thing you want to do is just trust Google, because there's a lot of systems right now that are set up to be very much automated. It's, you have Google build a campaign for you, you set it up, you basically forget it's running, and then 6 years later, you spend $1 million, and you never even looked at it. It's one of those situations where Google's kind of counting on you to do that because it's a profit margin for them, and they're just going to automate everything. You don't want that. As a paid media agency, we act as an intermediary between you and Google and you and Facebook, because Facebook and Google do not have your best interest in mind. They have their shareholders' best interest in mind, which has you spending money. And sure, you might get a couple conversions out of it, but as a media agency, our goal is to say, all right, we know Google's powerful and we know your product is amazing. How do we use these together to maximize your revenue, not Google's? And that is something where I think more and more we have become advocates for our clients, because Google has done things that makes it more easy for you to spend money and not realize what you're spending money on. And that lack of transparency for us is something where we want to make sure that we are coming to the table as your liaison to help you understand like what is actually happening. So how we look at direct response is based, or how we look at marketing is based typically into 3 different buckets. And this is pretty common. You're going to hear a lot of people who talk about marketing talk about these 3 things. This isn't something we created. It's just something that happens in the market. So you have direct response, which is when someone is actively looking for your product. They go to Google, they type in a Gibson Les Paul, they go to buy the Gibson Les Paul, they make a purchase. They're not considering what kind of guitars they're going to buy. As a musician, I'm a big guitar guy. They're not considering that. They're not like trying to consider what they're going to buy. They know what they want to buy. They're going to go and make an action. The consideration phase is when someone says, I'm thinking about buying a new guitar. I want one. I don't really know what type I want though. They're already in the mindset where they are considering that purchase. They just need to figure out what is going to win their money. And that's where they're doing a lot of research. That's where they're on YouTube. That's where they're doing a lot of reading. That's where they're trying to understand what other people are using, trying to find that the camaraderie in the community. Like, hey, what are you using for this product? Or what are you trying to, how have you enjoyed this product, right? That is a consideration cycle. The third part is awareness. And this is where every Bud Light commercial is projected. You're doing a TV ad on the Super Bowl, it's an awareness campaign. You're doing a billboard, it's an awareness campaign. You're doing a TV ad. Typically, It's an awareness campaign. You are trying to get someone who has no idea that your product exists to start to recognize that you are trying to solve a problem that they may or may not have. And with that comes a lot of money and a large amount of reach that you may or may not get in front of the right audience. So as a performance agency, what we typically look at is what we call kind of the reverse funnel. Instead of talking to a TV agency and getting a giant media buy where you're going to get a shotgun approach in front of as many people as you can, we start out with a more direct response focused approach to begin with. So what that means essentially is we're looking at people who are actively looking for, maybe not you, now that might be part of it, maybe they're looking for your brand, but people who are looking for your product line. So we have some really great clients in the skincare industry. So I'll use skincare as my product line here as my example. But let's say that you're looking for an anti-aging cream. You may realize that you are looking for that product, and you've maybe heard of a couple brands that you're going to look for. And if you're looking for that brand, you're going to do a Google search trying to look for reviews. You're going to try to look for the best price. You're going to try to see if Amazon has it. You're going to try to see what products are being offered by what companies. You are actively searching to buy that product. So to begin with, we want to make sure that you're in front of the people who are actively searching for you as a solution. So you can raise your hand and say, listen, I'm here to provide the solution for you. So what this looks like is, one, a brand campaign. Super important. You can't control SEO, but you can control what people see when they look at your brand. So if someone types in your brand name on Google, what is it you want them to see? What discounts, promotions, the holidays are coming up. How are you going to maximize the holidays? How are you going to let people know that your Black Friday shipping is going to be ending soon? Whatever that looks like, you may make sure that you're using a brand campaign to ideate those details. Non-brand is something where you're looking for people who are looking at your product line, but they may not be looking for you quite yet. So it is adjacent to your product line. They're looking for anti-aging cream. They're not looking for your brand of anti-aging cream. We want to get in front of those people because they're a very, very close to pulling the trigger and making a purchase. The next thing is competitor conquesting. Competitor conquesting is an exceptional opportunity to get in front of the brands who you are going up against in direct head-to-head competition. And if you know that those brands are competing on certain keywords, well, we need to make sure that you're there, because that opportunity is easy and ripe for getting them to consider you versus the competitor that they're researching. The next thing is an account list. If you have certain brands or certain companies, say if you're a B2B client that you're looking to engage with, we can actually go after a list of those accounts through a process called account-based marketing, where we're saying, all right, we have this list in our HubSpot CRM of 95 clients or 2,000 clients that we have been trying to nurture, right? Get that into your Facebook, get that list into Google, and we can start really hitting those clients with ads, making sure they see your brand. So when they're ready to buy, you're top of mind. And also organic search supplemental campaigns. If you're running an organic search campaign, or if we're helping you run an organic search campaign, we're going to be advertising on keywords that are supplemental to your SEO campaign. So that SEO may take 6 months to get on the first page. Our campaigns will get you on the first page within 20 minutes. So we can guarantee that you're going to get up there quicker than you would with SEO. But you might have a situation where as time goes by, you don't have to depend on paid media as much because your SEO is starting to get better. And then as we start establishing your direct response campaigns, we can move into consideration. Consideration is where we start doing site retargeting, which is where we're re-engaging with someone who's been to your website after they left your website through an ad to basically say, hey, don't forget about us. This is really great for e-commerce because if you're doing cart abandonment, you can actually get in front of people who maybe put a product in their shopping cart, left to go do some price shopping, and say, hey, don't forget, you have a product in our shopping cart. The next thing is going to be search retargeting. So we can actually get in front of people who are doing active searches for your competitors, for your product, for your competitor's product, and we can then remarket to those people who are searching for those brands on YouTube or other platforms to maximize visibility. So we can say, hey, we know you've been looking for these products. We're going to show you our ad on YouTube so that you don't lose track that we are a good option for you, right? And the last is going to be a Facebook audience campaign. Again, using Facebook as a tool to branch out and get a bigger audience. These three tactics are part of what's usually considered a consideration campaign, where we're trying to take someone from, knowing I need your product to actually considering you as a solution. Bill, anything to add to that?
Nope, I think you nailed it. The way that I just easily verbalize it is this is the phase where we're getting the absolute low-hanging fruit. It's the easy ones to get. Make sure you're capturing that market before you start to build anything upstream at all. And that this is the phase that you accomplish that.
Absolutely. All right. So phase two, and honestly, we have a lot of clients who come to us and they can spend $250K a month and really not dig too deep into phase two. Like, they can be doing a lot of their budget on phase one and, 25% to 30% of their budget in phase two. And so this isn't something where it's like 1, 2, and then 3. These can be all happening unilaterally. It isn't something where it's independent, right? So you can have part of your budget on phase one, part of your budget on phase two, and part of your budget on phase three. It doesn't have to be segmented. So that being said, display, which is when you're on a website and a little image ad shows, that's a display ad. Social, like TikTok, LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube are all platforms that people go to without the intention of seeing an ad, right? People are not usually looking at those platforms and saying, I want to be advertised to. Whereas on Google search, you're actively looking for a product. You're saying, I want to buy anti-aging cream. So your intention as a consumer on a direct response campaign is different. You're looking to make a buy. Your purchase intent is higher. But on an awareness campaign, it's a little different because those people are just looking to enjoy their Facebook feed, or they're looking to watch a video about how to cook a new lasagna recipe. But what you have to do is carefully insert your ad into that viewing experience in a way where it allows them to go, oh yeah, I remember that brand. I was going to look them up. I should look that up for a Christmas present for my wife. And through that tactic, we're going to use YouTube. We can remarket to those people. We can re-engage those people who've been to your website and then left. We can do that through Facebook as well. We can use other third parties like Criteo to do great remarketing, especially for e-commerce brands. And then we also have the ability to do similar to audiences based on your account lists. So again, if you're a B2B brand, maybe you're looking at those clients who you really wanted to get in front of, and you want to have an easier time getting your salespeople to answer the phone when you call. Well, if you call and say, hey, I'm from, product.com, you want people to recognize your brand. So they go, oh yeah, we'll take that call. You can do that through audience-based targeting using LinkedIn and really kind of get in front of your account list so that they can see your brand, have a very high top of mind reference. We've actually done this for a big brand that does roofing called DeBella, where we have different guerrilla marketing style campaigns where someone would go into Austin with a new, boots on the street kind of strategy. And they know they're going to go into certain neighborhoods. So we would remarket to locations in those neighborhoods, houses in those neighborhoods, and show the DeBella brand and make sure that they saw that brand. So when someone came to the door and knocked on the door and said, hey, I'm from DeBella, I want to talk to you about your roof, they're like, oh yeah, I recognize that brand. Now all of a sudden you have higher trust, you have higher authority, and you have an easier time getting the customer to be willing to at least have a discussion. CRM lists are very similar. And the next thing is really just kind of recognizing brand building. Your email list is probably one of the most valuable assets you have. If you're not making 30% of your revenue from your email list, you are undervaluing your email. Most of our clients, email is one of their top providers of revenue because what happens is digital marketing gets you into the market, and someone who is curious, but they're not committed yet, will probably get on your email list and go, I want to remember this brand because I don't want to buy right now, but I do want to buy in the future. Christmas presents are coming up and so on. So email is a way to make sure that people who are interested in your products but weren't ready to buy are now able to see your latest and greatest offer so that you can get in front of them at the time when that purchase becomes more convenient for them. So make sure you're brand building and collecting emails, collecting email addresses, providing value through email, giveaways, subscriptions, really, really valuable to get people to start gaining your list of your emails to a higher level so you can make that more efficient and more of an active part of your sales strategy. The last one is Facebook lookalike audiences. This is where we're getting in front of, we're starting to get into awareness campaign building right now. That is when you're saying, all right, Facebook, you have people in Facebook that look like they could be a good product or a good customer for my product. Help me find those products, those people, based on the clients who you have seen purchase from me already. So Facebook goes at it and says, all right, well, based on the people who have purchased from you already, based on the pixel that we have installed, we think that this list of 100,000 clients is going to have a higher propensity to buy. So Facebook goes out and does that audience check and says, yeah, we'll put your ad in front of these guys. That is very much an awareness campaign, but it's not necessarily a TV style, shotgun approach. It's still focused on targeted audiences, targeted campaigns, but in a way that is more of a, it's still a shotgun blast. It's just a little bit more careful. I guess, Billy, any
Hey,
question,
Brian.
any feedback on this stage, or any insights you want to share?
Just to continue my analogy, if the phase one is the low hanging fruit, phase two is watering the tree, right? Getting the fruit to grow. And then to reiterate the email component of it, back to the skincare customer that you were referencing earlier, we can monitor the performance of paid ads on days that email blasts go out, and we can see a spike in activity and sales. And it's getting to the point now where we're actively looking at how can we acquire emails, even at a break even, because we know that the lifetime value of that customer's email is worth several $100s. So if the first time that we get that click, that email is a break even, we don't make any money, or maybe even lose a little bit of money, we know that over the next 6 months, email blasts are going to go out, and that's going to be worth 2, 3, 400, sometimes even more than that. And that's just how valuable that becomes.
And so to paint that picture a little more, Billy, for our listeners, how important is establishing a repeat rate and a lifetime value for your client when you're looking at this kind of a strategy?
Sure. So I think the first thing that comes to my mind is an example of a customer we had that was subscription based. And the way that their organization was structured provided that we were only in charge of new customers. So acquiring new customers for them to sign up for the subscription. Well, the subscription was basically like $100 a month. All right. So $1,200 a year was the value. Well, we were tasked with a target CPA of somewhere between $50 and $100. I can't remember exactly.
Yeah, it was 50 or 75, I think.
Yeah. So basically marginally profitable on the new client acquisition. That's all right. We were able to do it, obviously, but we kept trying to have conversations about the retention and the growth, and how do we make sure that customers are spending, more time as a customer paying. Because if we look at the $1,200 value and you use that same, 20% metric that you mentioned a while ago, well, 20% of 50 is $10. 20% of $1,200 is $240. There's a lot more money you can spend to acquire, retain, and grow your customer base. So by looking at your lifetime value as a whole, and using those metrics for your budget allocation, you're going to have a far greater pool of audience to pull from, as well as more budget to apply towards tactics to, get you into phase two, if you will, and potentially even into phase three, the top of funnel awareness.
Yeah, that's a good point. I love that. And actually, to continue your analogy, and it was such a great analogy when you think about it, right? Like you're pulling the fruit off the tree, you're watering and nurturing the tree, and then you have situations where sometimes you have to plant the trees.
Exactly.
Like that field is a nutritious, barren field that is ripe for opportunity. But unless you take the effort and plant the tree, you need to make sure that you do that in advance, because you're not going to be able to, get any fruit off of it for a while. And I think that's a perfect analogy for understanding what it is that you get from an awareness campaign as part of phase three. So this situation, as Billy has already indicated, is where you're starting to plant seeds that are not going to be ripe for picking for several months. And so a lot of people will invest in awareness campaigns and say, oh, it didn't work. But what we don't realize is that there's a halo effect that happens with awareness campaigns. And we see this a lot. So one of the examples I would say is we had a client who does travel apparel. And that travel apparel client was spending a reasonably large amount of money on TV. And what they would do is they would do bursts. They would do a big TV buy. They would run, $50 to $250,000 a week on TV, and then they'd stop, and then they'd wait, and then they'd run a burst of 250,000 a week. They'd wait. And what you saw typically is that the TV campaigns that were running, you would get some initial traffic to the website, and you would see some initial sales that were increasing. But what was happening is a lot of those people who were seeing that awareness campaign were trickling in for 3 to 4 weeks after the campaign would launch. And they would start to look at the products. They would start to see the campaigns. They would see the TV ad or the Hulu ad multiple times. Now it would be in their mind. They start doing research. They'd start going to organic. And what we did for them is we said, okay, let's try to understand how quickly your guys' product is engaging. Because they were saying, all right, we're getting this good TV buys, but it's not really doing anything else. But what we found is that we would run a TV campaign and run a YouTube brand lift study. And a brand lift study is where you do a YouTube campaign, you start measuring people's consideration, whether they're going to be willing to buy. There is a version of a YouTube campaign where you can actually say how many people who saw my ad came back into Google search, went into my website through organic, and made a purchase. So it's a way to understand organic lift, but using YouTube. So we did a test where we took a similar amount of money they were spending to TV, ran it in through YouTube, and then did a measurement where we were tracking the organic lift from that campaign. And what we saw is a giant halo effect where whether it was awareness campaigns on TV or awareness campaigns on YouTube, a lot of people who saw the campaign, saw the video at the moment, were not taking action immediately. So if you were looking for, direct response from that awareness buy, a TV buy, you'd be disappointed because you're like, man, this thing failed. I only got, a couple of sales off of it. I didn't get near the rush that I needed. But because those people in the halo are coming in and signing up for email, they're signing up, coming in through organic, they're coming in through social media, they're starting to sign up as a like or a follow on your social platforms. That awareness campaign sows those seeds into the ground that you then get to nurture through your email campaign. You get to nurture it through your social campaign. You get to nurture it through your TikTok campaign. And while that user may not buy right now, you're going to see that fruit of your labor come 3 to 6 months as you're trying to get them in on promotions or sales because you've been building that opportunity for them, building your brand. So now they have the trust, they have the understanding, and they're like, man, I need to become, one of these clients, one of the people who buy this product. And so what we look at for awareness campaigns, is what are we doing right now that can feed the overall halo effect, the overall ether to really maximize the visibility, right? Billy, can you think of a really good awareness campaign that you've been part of? Like what product have you seen in the market where you didn't buy right then, but maybe like a year or 2 years ago or 2 years into it, you're like, man, I love this product. Like I'm going to buy 4 or 5 of them.
Well, mine actually more is on the technology side for the organization. It's a tool called Cascade. And believe it or not, my first interaction with Cascade was 8 years ago, and
Really?
they just kept emails and emails and emails and emails, and the reality is I wasn't ready at the time.
Yep.
Also didn't fully understand the capacity or capabilities of the product, but the more emails they sent me, the more in front of me they stayed. Eventually, I was ready and started to dig deeper. I was in a better position, or from an organizational perspective, where I could connect the dots on how it was going to benefit me, and eventually brought me as an actual customer now. Uh, But that was, a long, long process, and
Long nurture funnel.
yeah, and
Yep.
obviously that's probably an anomaly as a whole. But one more thing to piggyback on what you're talking about, we have a PR firm as a partner, and I was having a conversation with our contact over there, and she was mentioning that when they sign with a new customer, it's 3 months before anything ever even happens, and it's 6 months to a year before any traction starts. And
Incredible.
the yeah, and the key is understanding the metrics that matter at the awareness phase. So oftentimes customers think, okay, the awareness phase three here, the awareness phase is going to produce direct sales. And it might. It
Yeah.
could. It's not impossible. But if that's your focus, you're already going to fail. You've already failed. The awareness is eyes. It's it's interactions. It's on the social platforms, right? Can we just get people to post on our Facebook? Can they like
Yep.
something we did? It's small incremental or maybe micro conversions that compacted over or compounded rather over time equate
Yep.
to a sale at a certain point.
No, 100%. And so, how do we, as a digital agency, help in this stage, right? We're talking about PR, we're talking about TV, we're talking about stuff that is typical for top of funnel, right? So, what I'm going to say is that top of funnel doesn't have to be, a shotgun approach, no tracking, very little detail, not a lot of reporting, right? It can be something that you actually have good reporting on. We, as an agency, have access to a really wonderful platform that we use for OTT and CTV. OTT, think of over the top. It's like Roku devices. It's your Chromecast, your streaming devices. If there's free services that you're buying on there, they're only free because they're ad supported. So OTT and CTV, connected television, is your like smart TVs, for example. So think about those as TV, but in a way where you have the ability to do similar targeting to TV. Actually, you can target based on users watching behavior. And even Hulu, we actually have the ability to sell Hulu and their self-serve model, which is something that allows you to buy Hulu ads for under $10,000. You don't have to be held to their $10,000 minimum. So it's one of those situations where we can get in front of really good content, but we have measurable numbers. We can see the CPM, we can see the overall visibility. And with OTT and CTV, we do it based on a geofencing kind of standpoint. So we know that if you're serving an ad to someone saying, hey, come to our burger restaurant, we actually have clients, we're tracking visits to the burger restaurant saying, all right, we did an OTT CTV video campaign. And from that, we actually drove 100 visits to your location. We have campaigns where we're running OTT CTV because we knew someone went to a competitor's burger shop, and then we showed them the ad and drove 50 people to your burger shop. We have numbers showing this for one of the largest burger brands in the US and in the Northwest, pardon me. And it is something where it is taking OTT, CTV, awareness style campaigns and making it actionable, making it transparent, and putting trackability and tangibility behind those that you don't get with a typical TV buy. We also have the ability, again, YouTube campaigns, running brand lift studies. We recommend most of our clients who are doing YouTube run at least one brand lift study every 6 months. And that can be trying to understand, are people going to consider your product? Are they aware of your product? Would they buy your product again? And do they have a positive experience with your product? And then on the more expensive brand lift studies we can do are people watching your videos and then going to your organic and buying from you through organic means? Those studies are priceless. We also have the ability to really kind of make sure we're talking through content marketing, behavioral targeting. Are we getting in front of people based on your overall content in your site that may be a little bit more top upper funnel, but also SEO. SEO is actually a top of funnel tactic. It is something where you're trying to get in front of people who are researching, you're trying to look for details. It is a very broad spectrum that you can get in front of, but it's very, very valuable. So as we're approaching the top of the hour here, I want to be respectful to everyone's time. I want to talk a quick moment about our services are available through our ecosystem, and then we will wrap up everything and let you guys go. So with the sake of time, I'm just going to kind of rush through this a little bit. So the Canoe Group is what Billy and I are a part of. It consists of Canoe, Smart Tech, Search Logic, and Funnel Flow. And what we bring to the table are a collective of different marketing needs, marketing services, and we allow clients to say, all right, I'm having these issues. And through part of our ecosystem, we can try to find solutions for those problems. We had a conversation today with a wonderful company that does user-generated content and video. That is someone that as clients come to us and say, hey, I need really good video campaigns. we may not do that directly, but we have part of the ecosystem where we're going to bring those people to the table and we're going to offer that service. We have systems that we represent and partners that we represent that are doing really great and things in the forefront for live video or for SEO. So depending on your needs, we likely have a partner in the ecosystem that will be able to solve that. Certain core services you can see on the screen. I'm not going to go through every one. Those are things that we can really do on your behalf as part of our system, as part of our recurring retainer. And if you have a question about what that is, feel free to connect with us. We can talk about your situation specifically and do an audit to understand what we can do to help you scale and grow your own brand. The other thing we have as our partner services, as you can see here, including creative, TV buys, streaming services, event marketing. There's a lot of things that we can bring to the table that you may need, and you don't necessarily want to find 4 or 5 different agencies to have to manage. We approach the process that we are going to be the agency managing partner, where you can have multiple services being provided without having to have multiple points of contact. Billy, anything you want to add to these 2 service designs that I haven't really covered? I want to make sure I'm not leaving anything out.
No, this is growing day by day. Every week, Brandon and I are having conversations with new service providers. So if you need a referral for something, let us know. We can absolutely point you in the right direction.
Or if you're a company who wants to be part of our network, if you think that your product is something that our clients would find a lot of value in, let us know, because we are bringing in new partners into our network every day. All right. So what we're going to ask you to do is take action. Obviously, you're here on a marketing related webinar. You're watching the marketing related webinar. If you've made it to this far in the presentation, you're hopefully finding this valuable. So I would say reach out to us. Let us know what it is you guys are struggling with marketing. Are you reaching your KPIs? Are you hitting your numbers? Are you hitting your targets? If not, there's probably a reason, and it's likely less complicated than you think. So I would say reach out, let us know how we can help. If you're on this webinar, you've already received an email from me. So respond to that email. We will be sending this out as a recording, so you can also respond to that email as well. But otherwise, my name is Brian Butler with SearchLogic. We have Billy Mitchell here as well, and we are here to thank you for being part of this, and we will see you on the next call. Thank you, everyone.
Have a good one.
All right.